Good evening, viewers, and joiners who have joined us in this interview tonight. Our topic tonight is towards a meaningful restructuring of Nigeria. Our guest is a 79-year-old young man, Prince Chukwuemeka Onyeso. Prince, it's my pleasure to welcome you tonight.
You. Mine too, thanks.
All right. You have chosen this theme for yourself, towards a meaningful restructuring of Nigeria, and you called it my 79-year message. Can you tell us about it? Or first of all, can you please tell us about yourself and why a 79-year message to Nigerians?
If you look at my blog, you find that every year I do this. For the past 10 years, I send out message, review the country, and say what I think should be done. My own input was making life, or making the government of Nigeria a better thing if the people who run it will listen. But it's a lot of elders like me to say things as they are and advise what needs to be done. As you can see, Nigeria is not getting any better. It's drifting from one crisis to the other, and all getting compounded from being the capital of poverty in the world. We are now the most terrorized country in Africa. In the world, I think we are now also taking on the cap of a place where children below the age of 5 die most. And all these are no good. My belief is that the structure of the federation is wrong, and you can never get it right. It's like building a house. If the foundation is weak, whatever you do, you go on patching and patching. And if you don't take time, one day it will collapse. That is why looking at what is going on now, I don't think since after the war, I don't think there's any time it's been as bad as what you have now. People are being offloaded, they're getting into our forests, people are living there, you don't know their mission, kidnap, killing. Anyhow, life does not mean anything anymore. Taking a very good look at what's going on, it is because we refused to heed what the elders who founded this country, Azikiwe, Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, through 5 conferences, constitutional conferences, the Independence Constitution was hammered out. And it's the Independence Constitution that eventually became the Republican Constitution of 1963. And if you look at the entire structure, even though it's called a federation, but in essence, is a confederation, because each region then had its own embassy abroad. And there was each region took care of its security and so on and so forth. But now, they issued a decree in 1999 and called it a constitution, decree number 24. And what is designed there is what the exiting military thought is best for them. There's no doubt that they had in mind they will come back, like they did. Obasanjo took over, and now we have another general. And we are being commanded, the country is being commanded as if we are all soldiers. One man cannot know it all. The system we chose at independence is parliamentary democracy. But somehow they thought that this presidential system, which America adopted, is what made America. It's not. It is the dream of the founders, the determination of the founders, knowledgeable people who came together and set it up. Now, if you are a burgeoning democracy like our own, which has no strong institution, cannot handle presidential democracy. Even America, which is quite old in it, we all now see the problem they're having right now. Now, America is talking about the president, if he loses, whether he will accept or not. And what I'm hearing on the television is that there may be a constitutional crisis if he doesn't accept. But in our own case, mark you, they have very strong institutions to check and balance what is going on. But here, there's no institution. The existing ones has been completely emasculated. You are familiar with the fact that at one time, masked SS people invaded the National Assembly. You are familiar with how the Chief Justice of Nigeria was just treated like a criminal. He threw away all the regulations, all the laws that bind the discipline or handling of judges, and just treated him like an armed robber. And the poor man had to go. And with that, that is the end of the judiciary. We can now hear the current Chief Justice getting into politics. He did at one point, a few weeks ago, tell us that Sharia needs to be brought more into the Constitution. The amendment should be made so that they will more Sharianize Nigeria. And then boasted that they have the votes. Can you imagine a Chief Justice saying that? And it's because the institutions we have been destroyed. So you talk about restructuring. They even went into that by telling us that we don't need any restructuring again, that the president is already restructured Nigeria. That's the latest. As if one man can restructure. It's not possible. It's the people. What we're saying in essence, that the constitution you have, the constitution of 1999, is a decree. It's not the people's constitution. A democratic constitution has its legitimacy in the way and manner in which it was brought about. A lot of consultation, compromises in a federation, the give and take from one side to the other, and at the end of the day, there will be agreement. Ethiopia had problems with the constitution which Haile Selassie brought in 1931, and they came together. And Muhammad gave their reasons why they had to throw it overboard. It was meant for domination of Ethiopia by Haile Selassie. Now I think it was 1993 or 5, I've forgotten exactly. They have their constitution which provides that not only there should be equality between the citizens and the federating units, but that if any unit is dissatisfied, it can vote to opt out of the federation. That is the concept of self-determination, which is guaranteed in Nigerian laws. Today, IPOB has been proscribed. Today, if they are holding a meeting, they go and shoot them and kill them. Whereas Nigeria, laws of Federation of Nigeria, ratification and enforcement of African Charter on Human Rights, Article 21, this specifically states that the right to self-determination is inherent in the people. A right to determine their government, the way and manner the economy should go, and the rest of them. And then went on in Article Subsection 3 to insist that the government should help the people in achieving these rights. But nobody looks at this thing anyhow. So my own concept is that having got to this point, the 1999 Constitution must go. The people must get together. When I say the people, it's the ethnic groups, and there are 378 of them already identified. They should be summoned to determine how they will live together. And there shouldn't be any law binding this one Nigeria and the rest of them. We are not a camp of slaves. If they meet together and talk and they can't work, for goodness sake, Soviet Union is gone. 15 states, 15 republics from there. Czechoslovakia, I've forgotten the number, but the Yugoslavia, the same thing. So federations are supposed to come and stay if it is comfortable for the people inside. If it is uncomfortable, you disband back. In Nigeria today, life is worth nothing. People get killed anyhow. What is happening in Southern Kaduna, Delta, and we're already beginning to see it. Nimbo, where they killed Nimbo in Enugu State, where they killed, I think it was 2018 or 17. They are now shouting that these people who slaughtered 48 of them have deployed back. And the Nigerian police, controlled by the center, looks the other way. The military also facilitates what they do. Now we get Boko Haram, we catch Boko Haram people, and then tomorrow they tell you they are reformed, and they deploy them back. And these people, from information we have from soldiers who are in the campaign, who are going on our war, that some of these people who come back as soldiers shoot any soldier who advances so much after the Boko Haram people. So where are we going to? The purpose of government is security and welfare of the people. There's no security. The welfare, whereas most countries are now offering trillions of dollars of palliative, up to now, we cannot say, they said they did one thing about palliative. We have asked various states in Nigeria, particularly in the south or east, nothing. What you have as palliative is increase in the price of petrol. You have doubling the rate of electricity, and this very hard time. So Nigeria needs to make a constitution. And my own idea is that we should go back to the constitution which our leaders came together and put up. And that constitution is somewhere between federation and confederation. Twice during the crisis, 1966, at an ad hoc conference before the pogrom, that's from about the 12th of September until 29th, when they launched the pogrom. Nigerians sat together and agreed on confederation. But those who think that Nigeria belongs to them descended on the Easterners and slaughtered to stop any further discussions. They are the ones who initiated the confederation. Then after that, they went to Abuja.
We thank you very much, Prince, for this introduction to this talk. I will pause. Okay, we have, my question will be, you have given us a background to the topic now.
Yes.
You were there at independence, and you have told us that Nigeria started out as a confederation and later as a federation, so to say. Would you say that Nigerians' experiment at democracy has been a success so far since 1999?
It's a disastrous failure. That's what I'm saying. Particularly when these generals who fought the war came back and militarized politics. They have no regard for any law. You probably will know that while Obasanjo was a civilian president, he launched an attack on OD and killed well over 8,000 citizens there, military. They went to court. Unfortunately, they made only claims. And the court awarded them 15 billion naira for illegally deploying soldiers. There are judgments up to appeal court where the court ruled that the president of Nigeria has no powers whatsoever to deploy troops for any internal security operation without the authorization of the National Assembly. He never cared. After OD, he went after Zaki, massacred them. They went to court again for claims only, and the court found the government guilty and awarded them 8 billion naira. Now, the present president, look at what he did to Shiites in Zaria, and then the IPOB people. Shiites, you can say a little bit violent, but that of IPOB is very painful. Unarmed youths who are just exercising their rights under Nigeria laws of the Federation, Chapter 9 of 2014, exercising their right to say agitation for right to fight resist devolution. They are killed. They even got killed recently, about a week or two ago, without soldiers who have no business getting involved in arresting anybody or doing anything unless it's clear from the National Assembly. So they don't give a damn. That's what they do.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Nigeria.
I thank you very much for this answer. Let me screen an article you sent to us today for publication. I will ask my next questions from the contents of the article. Here is the article. You said effective restructuring must begin with Nigeria apologizing to Biafra. And here you said meaningful agitation for effective restructuring must begin with Nigeria apologizing to Biafra. Why would you say that? What is the relationship between restructuring and the Biafra agitation?
I did give the reasons, but let me articulate it. The ad hoc conference of September 1966 agreed on confederation. The Aburi conference of January 4 and 5 of Supreme Military Council agreed on confederation. All these things were thrown overboard, and the throwing them overboard was what created the crisis that led to the war. They all joined the Southwest and the Middle Belt, without whom that the Upper North could not have won the war, not at all. They don't have the means, they don't have the wherewithal, the logistics. They may have brute force, but they don't have the diplomacy, the intrigues required to win such a war. In fact, the war would have been seen as pure jihad if the Southwest and Middle Belt did not join. And that's why they beat Eritrea and they put up Gowon. And Gowon pretended as if he had power. And he was the one who cancelled Aburi. And it's Aburi that led to the war. Aburi, disowning Aburi by the federal government of Nigeria is what resulted in war. Now, these same people who fought against the decision, a well-structured restructuring of Nigeria into a confederation, they are the ones now who are now shouting more than us on the need for restructuring Nigeria into a loose federation.
Why would you say that, sir? Why would you say that the Middle Belt and the other people are now shouting more for restructuring more than the Igbos who fought the Biafra?
Oh, you need to know what is going on here now. There's one Malifa who is between the SS and the police and so on. They are being dragged about. Don't you know what is happening in Southern Kaduna? Don't you know that in Plateau, 54 communities were sacked by Fulani herdsmen, and the Fulani people occupied their homes, whereas the people are living in a refugee camp as IDPs, and they have the effrontery to rename these 54 communities, give them Fulani names. So they are in real soup. Even Gowon himself, he is from Plateau, but they adopted somewhere in Wusasa in Southern Kaduna as their home. The two places are on fire. So what I mean is that now they have seen what we saw, for which they fought us, defeated us, and I'm saying my position is that in defeating us, they conquered Nigeria for their masters. They have tested what we foresaw and wanted to avoid. They are now joining us in saying this structure is too rigid, it's authoritarian, let us have a loose federation. I said, they must be honest enough to confess and say sorry to us that they made a mistake. After all, I'm not the first one saying it. One Dr. Malaifa, the one who said that these people killing people in the villages, said when they finish, they will now begin to attack people in the cities, and so on and so forth. He had asked these people to come to that it is time they apologize to the Biafra people. Are you with me?
Yes, yes. I would like to. I will like to find out. This agitation for restructuring has been on for a very long time now. I can remember Anthony Nahor, all of them agitated for restructuring. Ben Nwabeze,
Under Abacha.
Under Abacha. And now
Yes.
the clamor for sovereign national conference. We have a conference under Obasanjo. Good luck, organize the conference. Why have restructuring been so difficult for Nigeria to achieve?
You see, it is natural that people who enjoy privileges will fight to keep it. The 1999 Constitution was designed to privilege the Northwest and Northeast, more of Northwest. It's not only that they have more local governments, they have more states, but which gives them more representation in the National Assembly. That's why the CJN told us that we have the votes. You know, so it becomes impossible, because if you rely on amendment of the Constitution, these are the bodies that will amend it. They have a majority there. In terms of amending the Constitution, I think the requirement is almost 2/3, between 2/3 and 4/5 of the National Assembly voting. And then you go to 2/3 of the 36 states will also agree to amend the Constitution. What I say, my position is that the 1999 Constitution, even if you amend it 1,000 times, you can't get it right. What is wrong is wrong. The truth about it is that it's unworkable, and we're in the same kind of position Ethiopia found themselves with the Haile Selassie's constitution, and the worst thing they did was to discard the 1931 constitution. Professor Ben Nwabeze, went there as an advisor. He was there for nearly 6 months, and when they were insisting on including the right to secession, he did ask them. He told me that they just say, put it there, so that these are people and the arrogance, the majority, will respect the rights of minorities. You will agree that once there's a right to secede unilaterally, it will be difficult for the arrogant majority to wish to do anything. This kind of thing we are seeing here, where the herdsmen will occupy a village, kill as they like, and the police will be looking elsewhere. If you do that to any group of people, they will vote to go. And conscious of the fact that they will vote to go, that so-called majority will behave better.
Well, thank you for this elucidation. Many also argue that what is actually wrong with the 1999 Constitution is the schedule to the Constitution that provided for exclusive legislative list section of the Constitution.
They took almost everything in the residual list and concurrent list and put them in the exclusive list of the federal government.
Is that much different from the 1979 Constitution?
It's almost a copycat of 1979.
All right.
Plus, give and take more of this thing. It's not. There's some slight differences, which further constricted Nigeria into a unitary state. But both of them are unitary.
Okay. So what if that exclusive list is amended, whereby giving the state leeway, more powers to exercise a lot of faction, a lot of the.
It's not enough. It's not enough. I tell you, the present regime finds it difficult to allow regional or state police. But we know that in federations as big as Nigeria, you have not only county police, you even have city police. How can you have one police unit over 200 million people in the kind of life space we have? Most of what we are experiencing here, the terrorism and violence we have here, is inefficiency of the police. And yet they are insisting that even though we allow you to have community police, it will be under the same Inspector General of Nigeria who is unable to police Nigeria. Can you imagine such a ridiculous thing? But in the 63 constitution we're talking about, there has to be there. Every region must have its own police and command it. There will be no way you can send these young people to come and live in the forest in any area, and then from there they raid communities, rape women anyhow. They are talking about agriculture. How can you be talking about agriculture when women are callously raped? This one is all over Nigeria, even in Katsina. Rape of women in the farm. Most of them are sitting back in their homes because they can't go out. There's complete disorder. So this system we are operating is not for us. On the world stage, if you check, the best run countries in the world where you have the highest human development, the Scandinavians and the rest of them, Japan, and if you bring out 20 of them, the Senegal president, as you may like to call it. So presidential democracy is authoritarian invariably, and in a society where there's lack of decency, we don't have the decency for running presidential democracy, because a president must have things, a level below which he can go. He must have a level below which he can go. But here, there's no level.
Okay, if you
there's
say
no
that,
level.
If you say that, will you advocate for parliamentary democracy then for Nigeria?
Of course, if you read my paper, I did emphasize on it severally. I repeated myself in that paper. And then presidential democracy. We don't need a executive president. A prime minister who will go to the house and sit with the members, and I'm sure that people like Obasanjo and Buhari wouldn't like to go to the House of Assembly and sit with members. And you know, removal of a prime minister is quite easy. If you don't come, the majority of votes will just get you out. Before you know it, somebody has taken over your position. But in presidential democracy, you have to do impeachment proceedings. By the time you finish, you go halfway, the man who has the key to the national treasury will buy up everybody and the thing will end, or even kill.
Well, you sound so, it appears that from what you are saying, the solution to Nigeria's problems is still very far off. What do you think?
It's not very far. It is up to the people to meaningfully agitate. And I mean, in this case, since the West is making most of the noise about restructuring, they are the people who put us in this position by fighting against Confederation. They should lead it and be ready to say, if you don't accept that we will dump this constitution and adopt the 1963 constitution with some amendments. For example, there used to be 4 regions. We are now accepting 6 zones. That 6 zones should be 6 regions. Each region should have its own constitution, like in 1963. But now we have one constitution. There was no Sharia in the federal constitution of 1963. Each region had its own constitution. It's only in the Northern Constitution that you could see Sharia. But now, Sharia is part of our federal constitution. So we are not operating even as ordinary federation, not to talk about confederation.
All right. So there is now widespread agitation for Nigeria to zone the presidency to the Southeast. Seeing that the Southeast is at the forefront for agitation for restructuring, will you say what
it's not in the forefront?
Sorry?
Not in the forefront. Is it because of IPOB? Yeah, the IPOB people are talking, but what are our politicians doing? They're all keeping quiet because they're afraid of the center. If you mount restructuring too much, EFCC will pass on you. The worst is that they can go into your account without even your knowing, find whatever they can. Let's look at what they did to the Chief Justice of Nigeria. If you followed what happened there, you will know that anybody they decide to go after is finished. Our people say, is there any anus you open and you will see something that resembles excrement?
So what if, say for instance, okay, the Igbos would like the country to be restructured.
Eh?
The Igbos are saying that they would like Nigeria to be restructured. They are also agitating.
Of course.
Now, which one would you say the Igbos will take first? Which one is the priority of the Igbos? Is it restructuring or
it doesn't have to be no, it doesn't have to be a choice of if not this, that. The rotating the presidency is a palliative for the president until this restructuring. Because when we are fully restructured, the president will be a non-executive president. Like Azikiwe was, Seneca president, the prime minister, and in the regions, the premier will be the head of government. So for now, until we restructure properly, not the kind of mountain people talk. And look at APC telling us that the president is already restructuring Nigeria by giving instructions to the state governors. He's so making a joke of the whole thing. The people must come together and agree. Don't mind these constitutional conferences, these conferences that are calling about amendment of the constitution. As far as I'm concerned, it amounts to nothing.
Well, I've discussed also this restructuring with some people in government, and especially some people from the north, even some in the south as well, are of the opinion that even if you restructure Nigeria, for instance, and you have the southeast region for the Igbo, the southwest for the Yorubas, it will still be the same political class who will still be at the helm of affairs. And therefore, the restructuring is not the Bobonche solution to Nigeria's problem, that what Nigeria needs is good governance. Because if you can't build a good house and live in it if the structure is flawed. You go on repairing it until one day it collapses. First of all, part of the reason why we're insisting on going back to parliamentary democracy, which is a lot more successful worldwide than presidential democracy, is that the tendency or the loophole for corrupt practices and impunity is much less under parliamentary democracy. It's not it's not that there's no corruption. There's no country where there's no corruption. The issue is what level. Is it the tolerable level? The ones that at least some decency about it, that nobody does it in such a way that it affects service delivery, or turns a man who doesn't have a bicycle into owning a jet overnight from government coffers. You know? So we're talking about systems or structure that will minimize corruption, minimize arbitrariness, of impunity, outright looting. What is going on now? If you read the Auditor General's report of 2017, all ministries, the total money stolen, as published in that report, 300 billion. And the people who took the money are known. But nothing is happening. The auditor even went on to say that 3 government agencies, NNPC, Department of Petroleum, and Board of Internal Revenue,
that between them, 2014 and 2017, 5.4 trillion naira were unremitted. Nobody has given them query. There's no effort to recover it. Like some NGOs said, if you recover last year, or this year is projected that our budget deficit will be of the order of, I think, 4.7 or something like that. If you recover 5.4, you need to borrow money to run the government. But now we are borrowing money from government, from banks, from foreign institutions and governments. And we got to a point in this June where the rate, the cost of servicing loan is 90% of revenue, collected revenue of the federal government. Can you imagine that?
We thank you, our guests and listeners. We need to remind you that this is a very good interview we are having with Prince Chukwuemeka Onyeso. The topic is Towards a Meaningful Restructuring of Nigeria, my 79-year message to Nigerians. From now on is a very good opportunity for our listeners. If you have any question or viewers, please ask your question now by indicating through the device or typing your question in the chat section where I will see it and then ask our guest. Sir, my question is this. From what you are saying, it appears really that the problem with Nigeria is misgovernance. It's misgovernance. Where you're talking of corruption, stealing of, looting of public funds. So it's a question of
arbitrariness, impunity.
Exactly. So don't you think it's a question of misgovernance rather than a problem with the structure? Because even if you have very good structure, the structure will still be manned by Nigerians. The same Nigerians.
Let me comment on that. The structure has opened the doors wide for the people you put into these positions. So, okay, before in the 60s, government treasury used to be in the secretariat. Now the government treasury is in the governor's lodge. What do you think about that? And this is how it is all over Nigeria. That does that not tell you something? Before, it used to be somewhere near the secretary to government in the secretariat. But the treasurer is now in the governor's lodge. And the same thing repeats at the federal level. From time to time, you hear NNPC dipped hand into federation account and took away $1-2 billion. The noise will be made in the Senate, one way or the other, they maneuver it, and the thing will end. Before, you couldn't do that. Under parliamentary democracy, you couldn't do that. You see, there's the 70-75% of human beings, if they are sure they cannot be caught, may take something that does not belong to them. It is the fact that if you do, you'll be caught and you go to prison. That's what minimizes stealing by those who are hard up. So if you have a structure that allows people to steal and go free, why would they go stealing? So it's governance backed by a structure of governance. And then they bloated, just created offices as if it wasn't enough. Federal, state, and you now go and list local government. Which country in the world, tell me, check, any federation that has list of governments in its constitution? No. This was done only for the sake of getting a share of the money, sharing. Nigeria's policy is sharing, not production. Oh, the money is coming from crude. And the more avenues you have for bringing it to our people, the better. Now, that is not enough. They are now sending their people to go to Abuja and take the thing physically. You know, remember that before, not every community had chiefs or Eze.
Yes.
For example, in Igbo land, there were only 66 communities that had Eze, Obi, or Eze. But immediately after the war, they introduced the Seriki, Emir Seriki thing they have in the north, from which they share public funds, introduce it here. So you now have the councillors from the same communities. Now you have the traditional people you call traditional rulers, some of whom are even knights of the church. I believe there's even somewhere in the middle belt, even a pastor, he became a traditional ruler. I don't wonder which tradition he'll be holding, whether it's that of the church of the village. So they have so encumbered the system that so much money is being wasted in funding fraudulent governance, and development is left for the people.
All right, we are taking the first question from from the audience from Tim. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question, sir?
Yes, Chief, once again, my greetings and my regards. So far, it has been a very instructive one from you, and I mean insightful one, because I have gained a lot of insight from your revelations. But then, some people argue that we always focus only on the federal level and seem to forget about what is happening at home. Some people claim that if we Nigerians should channel the effort, the type of effort they channel on state governors instead of on federal government, that Nigeria might be good for it. How would you respond to that? That is by concentrating our criticism and our checks and balances on our state governors, and even recently on local governments, because the power, some of the powers of the state government has been devolved to this local government, that they now have even their own account to settle their bills and initiate contracts on their own. So how would do you agree that it might be more meaningful if we concentrate more on states than on the federal government?
The states don't send soldiers or policemen to kill people. The states are not responsible for security. That's what life is. The most important thing between me and you. Once you are dead, you are gone. The main purpose of government is security and welfare. The state governors are involved in welfare. No state governor has command of one policeman, except the north, where they have Hisba police, Sharia police, which they just, like they do for herdsmen. They look elsewhere and pretend as if nothing is happening. But when our people here want to have their own vigilante, they say it must be under the Inspector General of Police. The same thing they have done to the Western people, Amotoki or whatever. No, and what we are proposing includes the state government. If we go back to the 1963 Constitution, there will be no governor in the states. There will be premier. The governor will be a Seneca governor, an old retired, maybe permanent secretary or diplomat or whatever. He's just there to represent the state, whereas the premier undertakes the government. I've already discussed this. It's not only federal. We're talking about the entire structure. The states should have their own, the regions should have their own constitution. They should have their own parliamentarians, and the number should be cut down. In my view, we used to have 4, but I'm saying, and a lot of people agree with me, that we should accept the 6 zones as already known. And so you have zonal assemblies and the rest of them. So we are not limiting, my proposal does not limit whatever I'm talking about to the federal. As we're talking about the federal, we're talking about the states. And mark you, some of the states can police their government. You remember Badunju in Anambra? What happened to him? He was thrown out, and at one point, he was even arrested, put in the cell in Oka, and people were going there to view him as a zoo animal. And that puts some restraints on what happens. Don't mind that after P2B, things don't seem to be as serious as it was. But that was a lesson. Anybody who thinks should remember that there was Badunju, and he got humiliated after leaving office. The present scenario is even affected by the federal government, because however badly a governor is doing, if he's a friend to Asorok, you can't do nothing to him. That's the present level of rottenness in the system. So if you concentrate on him, you can only shout. As long as you have that structure where the man in Asorok controls all the security agencies, both the intelligence and the rest of EFCC, this and that, you are not getting anywhere. What are you concentrating? What do you get from there? If it's a president's friend.
Okay, we thank you. The team, do you have any other question? No. Okay. What I would like to point the feelers we are getting from people who are speaking on this subject is where restructuring is not feasible, because it appears the federal government, those at the head of the federal government, will not listen to all this plea.
Let me stop you there, because Nigerians are looking for quick kill. South Sudan fought for 39 years before they got their structure. The Soviet Union collapsed after how many years? Those people who got new republics were inside there agitating, not so violently, openly. So you nibble at such issues. Nigerians are so much after, oh, you just put on the switch and you'll have it. The most important thing is to think clearly, outline where you want to go, and convince people that this is the right thing to do. And it could be a relay race. You finish, others take over. South Africa was there agitating against apartheid from 1948 until 1981. How many years? 50 plus 2 plus 1. 53 years. So when things get as bad as this, I've already told you that privileged people find it very difficult to give up their privileges. It's worse when they have the coercive forces of state behind them, because you want to take it away from them, they will use the coercive forces against you. But that's no reason why you will not aspire. If you all relax and go on saying, okay, what can we do? This is enslavement. The situation we're in now is total enslavement. Total enslavement, that's what we're leading to. These deployments you are having in our forests, what do you think it's meant for? What do you think the deployments are meant for? Why do you think the West started their motoki or whatever? Why do you think the Middle Belt is shouting? Some of them ready to die. So things are getting very tough. And it is time people started looking at 10 years, 20 years. If we leave things the way they are, 10 years from now, the census is coming. You probably heard that a Christian was proposed to be the chairman of Census Board. The names we are taking to the National Council of State, they approved that. NTA announced the decision of the constitution of the Census Board. Towards the end of the news, an announcement was made removing that Christian chairman, replacing him with a Muslim. This is arbitrariness. This is impunity. And where do you think it will stop? Do you know the amount of decay in the federal government? The fact that they have made Islamized or Fulanized the federal government of Nigeria. I pity whoever is not a Fulani man who will take over the federal government, because it will be very difficult. The boys who come in here and they are told that this is a cake ready for anybody to pick, how do you begin to change them? And it's not just permanent secretary or minister, also directors, even assistant directors. Look, go Nigerian Stock Exchange, go there, look at directorship there. Nigerian Communication Commission, name them. And like the former governor of Jigawa, what's his name? Sule Lamido. Nigeria is being ruled by its second 11.
That's exactly why. That's why exactly I have highlighted the image I'm now sharing. I don't know whether you are seeing that image, sir.
Which image?
I'm sharing a document now. Tim, are we sharing the image I'm sharing?
Yes, I'm seeing them. I'm seeing it.
Common entrance cutoff mark. But this has been like that all the time. You need to, if you chance on my book, ask your agency in Nigeria to pick up a copy of my 2017 book. I even published the JAMB details, the school certificate details, and so on and so forth there. It's not new. When they put 130 for Anambra and Imo and the rest of them, the cutoff points or the admission point to Unity School in some places could be as low as 40 or 50. JAMB, the same thing. Admission to the Federal Civil Service, the same thing.
Right. We thank you, sir. We are now coming towards the end of this conversation. Let me ask you one last question from me. We are Igbos, and a lot of Igbo youths are agitating for a Republic of Biafra to move away from Nigeria. What would be your advice to them? Do you think that Igbos are better off outside Nigeria or better off inside a restructured Nigeria?
If Nigeria is meaningfully restructured,
yes,
into a loose federation,
yes, where
where the regions will be what they were. You probably know that by 1960-61, Eastern region was the poorest region. But before 64-65, using the plan made by Azikiwe and Dr. Pius Okibo and Mazi Bono Ojike, Okpara was able to lift the Eastern region to the fastest growing, one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Harvard published the paper on this. So deregulated Nigeria, where the regions make their money. If oil, like in US, if money is found in your place, you collect the taxes there and pay a percentage to the federation account for the limited agreed functions of the federal government. Now, federal government is in everything. That's not federation. If you go and analyze the word federation, it's a group of people, or in this case, a group of nationalities coming together to agree to be one. And they will volunteer those functions that can be more perfectly coordinated and executed by the center. And invariably, it is limited. The ones that economically are more viable to be done together, they donate it to the center. But in Nigeria, what the federation we have now is that the center created the federating units. They are not groups of people as known, created by God. The ethnic groups are created by God, and they are nationalities on their own. They are the people who should come together and make a decision. These are the functions we leave for the center. not the center taking whatever he likes to do, the more profitable ones, collecting all the revenue, and at the end of every month, you ask people to come cap in hand to collect whatever you give them. Now they've gone to the point where the Accountant General of the Federation is not really Accountant General of the Federation. He's Accountant General of the federal government. Whatever they decide to share, they bring out. The states don't have any right to know whether what is being shared is what is collected.
Right. On this point,
No?
we thank you very much, Prince Chukwuemeka Onyeso, for being with us for the past 1 hour discussing this topic, meaningful restructuring of Nigeria, and also discussing the article you sent to us for publication today. Effective restructuring of Nigeria will first of all mean apologizing to the Biafrans who lost millions of lives because Nigeria rejected the Aburi Accord. And now it is the contents of the Aburi Accord that a lot of the other federations who conspired to fight against Nigeria are now agitating to bring back the same Aburi Accord. And also one thing we heard tonight is that Igbos are better off inside a very well restructured Nigeria than being outside Nigeria. So thank you very much. I hope I've summarized.
A combination of the two. You can be outside and the inside.
Okay, we thank you very much, Prince Chukwuemeka Onyeso. Like I said, it's been a very, very good relationship you have had with Elombah for a very long time now. So it's a pleasure to have you speaking to us today. So we thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, too. I'm glad eventually we got together.
Thank you.